friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Ellenboss, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey everyone, welcome in. Today you are joining me from my office space. So I thought I would just get a little cozy in my cozy chair and bring out my herbs and talk about one herb that you might know. I'm sure you know it, but you might not know exactly how to use it medicinally. So I hope to showcase this herb and share it with you. Before we dive into today's content, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do. Just one click really helps other people to find me, and it helps me to continue to spread my work, teaching people about herbal medicine. I also wanted to mention that our Kickstarter is underway. So if you'd like to grab a seat in any of my courses that I teach, including my Year 1 Herbal Foundations course, my Year 2 herbal course that is offered online, and Roots and Spheres, which combines astrology and plant medicine. All three of those courses, which are all taught online, all of those are available for $800. I think the Roots and Spheres is $900, but you can get those at a pretty deep discount through the end of this year. So I've included a link below. Please check out the courses. Please check out the Kickstarter. Thank you for contributing, and I hope to see some of you in class. Roses, that is the medicine of the day. And I have some beautiful examples of roses, and I wanted to share with you how I use roses. I know that there's a lot of different ways herbalists use different plants. And today I wanted to showcase how I use rose. And we're going to make some medicines together. Really, really easy. It's like very, very simple ways of using rose as a tonic and as a medicine. So first, I do want to say that make sure you use organic roses. A lot of roses commercially are sprayed, and they have a lot of, as you can imagine, chemicals in them, on them. So when you extract that in water, you're getting those compounds directly into your medicine, which you don't want. So if you can get organically sourced rose, that is the best. And even better if you can grow it yourself. If you can find it locally, there's wild rose varieties. A lot of roses work very similarly. They have very similar energetic properties. So this is sort of a video about roses in general as medicine. So the first thing I want to tell you about roses is that they are a quintessential cooling heart medicine. So if you know nothing else about roses or how to use them, I want you to walk away from today's video being like, if there's something going on with the heart and there is heat, roses are a wonderful idea. So what do I mean by the heart and heat? So roses have been traditionally used as a cardiovascular tonic. So they are very high in tannins, which are these very astringent compounds. So they're really good for toning the muscles of the heart, toning the veins and arteries, which can be very helpful in heart disease. So it is a cardiovascular tonic in that way. But also we know that in mythology and in history, roses have often been associated with love, right? On Valentine's Day and any holiday where we have a lover, we will give them roses as a symbol of our love. So roses have a long history of use as being a symbol of the heart. And I wanted to read to you from this wonderful book called Weeds in the Heart by Nathaniel Hughes and Fiona Owen about the rose and the heart. And then we'll go back to how you use it. Okay. So they say the process of opening the heart is almost always joyful and painful in equal measure. I compare it to coming out of a prison of our own making. Within the prison, we feel safe and untroubled by the pain of the outside world. As we step out and we experience the immense freedom, we also cannot avoid experiencing the immense suffering that we find all around us and reflected within us. I believe that we mature spiritually as we find ways to meet this suffering with compassion, embracing it rather than averting our eyes. Rose is one of the most cultivated plants in the world, and as such, is an embodied history of humans' relationship with nature. Generations have found within it a key to divine love, one that is no less potent today than it has ever been. So this idea of rose as a medicine of compassion, of helping us with isolation, often after grief. We do need to sometimes sequester ourselves away and protect our tender hearts. I'm not saying that you should not grieve on your own in solitude, because that can be really, really important. However, if we're outside, if we're in that prison for too long, that can also have damaging effects. And I love the way that they paint this idea of rose as sort of helping us to embody compassion, to be present for both the beauty and the love and the freedom of the dynamic between us and the outside world, and also the sadness and suffering as we encounter the reality, right? Like there's the fantasy of love and then there's the reality of love, right? That I think Rukmini, one of my teachers, she said, the cost of love is grief. And that's always really stayed with me, because the more you love something, the harder you grieve it when it dies. So rose can be a wonderful medicine for that grieving process and also that compassion building process inside of us. So it is a heart medicine, both physiologically for the actual heart muscle and the tissues of the cardiovascular system, but also of the more energetic or emotional heart. So it works on both levels. And I think that's a great thing about this medicine. I was talking before about how it is very drying. So it has these, it has two compounds that we'll talk about. The first one is that it has tannins, which are very drying and astringent, and this tones the tissues. So it's really good to keep barriers. If you don't want something to enter, you have to create some sort of a barrier. And so if you're using, let's just say you have animal hide, you need to tan it so that it can hold water or be repellent against water. And so what rose can do is it can help create better boundaries within ourselves. So it helps to kind of astringe one surface apart from the substance it's in contact with. That can be really helpful for things like leaky gut. But for people who tend to run more dry, they can find that astringency to be just too much. So there's a way that we can buffer and not have this herb be so drying. The other thing I wanted to say is that this herb also contains flavonoids, and flavonoids are responsible for the beautiful pigment. They're found in a lot of plants in this particular plant family called the Rosaceae family. So if we think about peaches and plums and strawberries and raspberries and blackberries, all in this plant family, these pigments, these flavonoids, are very cooling and very antioxidant. So when we think about what that means, is it means that it is slowing down the production of heat in the body via the Krebs cycle found in the mitochondria of the cell. And I think this is an important thing, because when I think about rose, I think about it as a nervine, and it slows down the process of heat production. Now, that is good for people that tend to burn themselves out, people that are caretakers for others and are just exhausted themselves. So if someone is burning the candle at both ends, rose can be a really nice nervine to help them hold boundary and also to cool themselves down. Like, as one of my friends used to say, take a chill pill. Like, this is like a chill pill. This is the herbal chill pill. It cools your body down. It cools your mind down. It cools your heart down. So those are a few ways I think you can use it. Now, in terms of using it as a medicine, I really like to make it as a cold infusion. And I'm going to show you how to do this. I have my jar. Let me just grab it. Ta-da. Oops, I need the lid. Here we are. So this is just the mason jar. Exciting things, folks. Breaking news, mason jar. You probably have a whole cabinet of them. Oh, and a funny story. So we had somebody over doing some work on the house because, of course, things break. And he saw all the jars because I have all these jars in my kitchen filled with herbs. And he was like, one thing I've come to notice over the years is that when people have lots of mason jars filled with things, they're usually pretty passionate about whatever those things are. And I laughed. We both laughed so hard. It's true. Like, think about all the people who collect mason jars and fill them with the things they love. It means that they really love them. So I really love plants. So here's what you need to do. You just need to get any old jar. And then I'm going to use these. I'm going to use these roses. These are organic dried roses. And I'm going to put in maybe about 3 tablespoons. And I'm eyeballing it. I think if you do this long enough, you will know about how much a tablespoon is. So this is about 3 tablespoons. I don't think you can see it there. And I'm going to add marshmallow root. So this is the way that I get around the dryness of rose, is I add in a mucilaginous herb that is going to add a lot more moisture and help my body hold moisture to the tissues rather than astringe them. So I've got here marshmallow root from Mountain Rose Herbs. They're a great source for marshmallow root organic. And I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup, maybe a little more than a 1/4 cup. Then I'm going to add in some cinnamon chips. This is Cinnamonium verum. If you have a choice, go with the verum or the true cinnamon. That's the one that was kind of used more traditionally as a medicine. And I'm going to do like a 1.5 tablespoons because I really like it. And then this is the simplest part. I have cold water, and I'm simply going to pour the cold water over these beautiful plants. Add my lid. And then shake it. And look how beautiful that is. Can you see that? It's like a snow globe. So I just think it's so pretty. Now, I made this one a few hours ago. You can already see the difference in the color. Do you see how that pink color is starting to come into solution, and probably a little bit of the orange too from the cinnamon? So it's going to start to turn like this. And then I'm going to let this sit on the counter for about maybe 8 to 12 hours. So basically overnight. Then in the morning, I'll pour it through a strainer and drink it. And I think the taste of these 3 is probably one of my favorite simple blends of all time. And here's what this blend is good for: the heart, the cardiovascular system. It's moistening and soothing to inflamed tissues throughout the digestive tract. It's also a nervine, relaxant, so it's helpful with stress and anxiety. And the cinnamon is helpful with digestion. It's a carminative, so it gets the digestive fires going. And also, I think both cinnamon and marshmallow are very earthy and sweet. And then the rose is a little more ethereal. So you get this really nice sort of earthy sweetness with this very ethereal, magical rose, very floral energy. And what I love about the cold infusion with rose is that you don't lose the volatile oils through steam. And I feel like you can taste the rose a lot more in a cold infusion than in a hot, because in the hot, all I taste are the tannins drying out my tongue. And I don't like that. I just don't like that. So that's kind of my favorite way to use rose. I have a few other ways that I like to use it as well. So I want to give a shout out to Mother Hild. And I don't know if you can see this label. It's only getting a little. I'll include a link. It's really a beautiful label. I wish it would show up. But this is Damask Rose Glycerate. And I use this all the time. This is, I think, my 3rd bottle from her. And it's very sweet. It's a little bit drying because that's part of the medicine. But when we had to put our beloved dog Rhea to sleep, I took this. I finished a whole bottle, I think, like in 2 weeks. I was just taking it several times throughout the day because my heart hurt. And like it ached and I was having a really hard time. And I really felt like this is such a divinely uplifting. It helped me to be more compassionate towards myself, and just grieve, because sometimes we just have to grieve. The other way that I like to use rose is as rose water. So this is a rose water hydrosol spray. This one is by you can't see it. It's by Heritage Store. I'll include a link too. But you can find, you can find rose water at most health food stores. And this one is just so nice. Oh, it smells so good. I wish I could just spray it and you could smell it. That's like, I hope one day within my lifetime, there is like sensory, like TV. I'm hoping out. If you know anyone who's working on that project, I'm happy to help. So anyway, it smells so good. And I'll often spray rose when I'm at my desk working. If I just need a little pick me up. Yeah, if I just need a little inspiration, I feel like rose really lifts the spirits around you. And then the last one I wanted to show you was an herbal vinegar, rose vinegar. So this is one that I stole this from my daughter's room. It says, I don't know if you can read it. It says Love Potion. And we made this together with fresh roses from the garden. But we're just going to make it with dried roses because you can do it either way. And here's what I'm going to recommend, and I'll include the recipe in the description. I'm going to recommend that you do dried roses, apple cider vinegar, let them steep for about 2 weeks, and then add in honey. So it's more like an oxymel. And then that is a wonderful, nice medicine to just kind of take like the glycerin that I mentioned. You can also add it to salad dressings, soups, face, you can use apple cider vinegar as like a spray for your face, like a toner. So here it's really easy to do. So I just took, if you can see, I filled my jar about halfway with dried rose petals. And then I have apple cider vinegar. This has the mother in it. So if you can find it with these little swimmy things in it, that's good. It means it's alive and we want our medicines to be alive. And I'm going to simply fill it to the top. And then add my lid. And I'm going to actually go downstairs after this and cut out a square piece of parchment paper to put between the metal lid and the vinegar, because the vinegar will sometimes rust it out and you don't want rust in your medicine. I'm going to give it a good shake to get the apple cider vinegar into the roses. You can already see it starting to lose its pigment or turn into a little bit of a pinky color. It's so pretty. So I am just gonna, and actually it's already labeled on the top because this is the same jar we used when my daughter and I made it. So 2024 rose vinegar. And it does have last month's date, but I can just change it to a 12 instead of an 11. So that's it. Let this sit for 2 weeks, strain it, and then do equal parts honey, and you will love it. Now you can add it on toast. You can, just take it by the spoonful. It's going to be so good. And, if you have holiday stress, most of us might, or grief, if maybe the holiday season is harder for you because you've lost someone or lost a family, in some cases, then having something like rose on hand in any of these forms might be a really good way for you to gift yourself something beautiful and loving. So with that, we were going to close today's episode. I would love to hear your comments. How do you like to use rose? I didn't mention this, but I love just having roses around, like in vases. So that's another great way to use rose medicine. You can take baths with rose petals. Just take a handful of rose petals and soak in them. There's so many. I could probably come up with more ways, but I would love to hear the ways that you also use rose. Tell me any stories you have about rose medicine in your life. And again, if you really like interesting books, this is a nice one maybe to add to your wish list. Weeds in the Heart by Nathaniel Hughes and Fiona Owen. It is just gorgeous. All right, friends, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next episode.